To the explainer. Today we're diving into a really strange modern mystery. Why are so many of us so sick? And what if the answer lies in a huge mistake? A mistake we made about 10,000 years ago.
67%. So, what's that number? Well, according to the World Health Organization, that's how many deaths today are from chronic illnesses. I'm talking about things like cancer and heart disease, basically the modern plagues of our time.
But here's the kicker. What if I told you these diseases were almost non-existent for our ancestors? It's a really puzzling truth. For most of human history, these things were incredibly rare. So, what on earth changed? Let's dig in and find out.
All right, first up, a modern health mystery. We're going to start by looking at the huge difference between our health now and the health of our hunter-gatherer ancestors. And trust me, the difference is pretty shocking.
You know, when you look at the evidence, we're talking skeletal remains, studies of the few hunter-gatherer tribes still around. It's pretty clear. Our ancestors were, in a lot of ways, healthier than we are. Can you believe it? They were taller, stronger, and they just didn't get the diseases that are our leading causes of death today. So what was their secret?
To really get this, we have to look under the hood. We need to check out our factory settings, if you will. I'm talking about the engine, our body, our digestive system, that was built and fine-tuned over millions and millions of years. Just look at this timeline for a second. The scale is, well, it's mind-boggling. For 99.6% of our entire existence as a species, from the first folks using tools to modern humans like us, our bodies were evolving on one specific kind of diet. The way we eat now, it's a tiny, tiny blip on the radar. It's a brand new experiment, really.
And this diet led to something called the brain boom. You see, eating meat wasn't just about survival. It literally rewired us. It made us human. All that high-energy, nutrient-dense food, it was rocket fuel for the most power-hungry organ in our entire body, the brain.
So the point is, our internal hardware physically changed. There's this idea called the expensive tissue hypothesis. Basically, our bodies made a trade-off. We swapped a long energy-sucking gut for a big energy-sucking brain. All that energy we saved on digestion, it got rerouted upstairs to grow a bigger, more complex mind.
So our bodies are perfectly tuned machines, which brings us to what some scientists call history's greatest blunder. No joke, some people think this was the single biggest mistake our species ever made.
Let's go back to that engine analogy. For 99% of our history, our engine was built for one specific kind of fuel. Imagine a super high-performance engine, right? Finely tuned over millions of years to be powerful, efficient, and to last a long time, but only if you give it the right fuel.
And then we did a fuel switch. This slide shows it perfectly. Around 10,000 years ago, farming started, and we completely changed the fuel source. It's like we took our ancestral engine, which was designed to run on high-protein, nutrient-dense diesel, and we started pumping it full of high-carbohydrate, calorie-dense kerosene.
You already know the answer, right? It might run for a little while, sure, but it sputters. It starts breaking down from the inside out. The parts get clogged, performance tanks, and eventually the whole system just fails. Well, that's exactly what started happening to us.
Now, let's talk about the price of farming. I mean, don't get me wrong, this fuel switch allowed for huge populations and the birth of civilization as we know it. But the cost to our health? It wasn't some abstract idea. It was immediate, it was measurable, and honestly, it was pretty devastating. Just look at this macronutrient shift. It's wild. You can see this dramatic flip. Protein, the main building block our bodies were designed for, got cut by more than half. And what took its place? Carbohydrates. They became our main source of energy. And that was a massive, massive shift that our bodies just were not ready for.
And the physical impact? It was immediate and really stark. Because we were suddenly eating a much less varied, nutrient-poor diet. Think just a few staple crops. The average height for men plummeted. We're talking from 5'10" down to 5'3". A 7-inch drop. We literally started to shrink.
And on top of all that, we started putting all sorts of new foods on the menu, things our digestive systems had never, ever seen before. Cereals, dairy, sugars, these weren't just slightly different fuels, they were like alien substances our bodies had no idea how to process efficiently.
And then things got even worse. If farming was like putting kerosene in the engine, Then the Industrial Revolution was like pouring tar water into the gas tank. It wasn't just about grains anymore. Suddenly we were mass-producing processed foods, chemicals, preservatives, all of this stuff engineered for a long shelf life, not for our health. Our biology had absolutely no clue what to do with any of it.
So, wow. After all that, you're probably wondering, can we even fix the engine? Well, the good news is we can. The solution is actually pretty simple, though I'm not saying it's always easy. We just need to start using the fuel it was designed for. It's all about eating for our blueprint.
Now, to be clear, the idea here isn't to go out and start living in a cave. We're not trying to perfectly replicate the Stone Age. The goal is much more practical. It's about getting our nutritional profile, the mix of protein, carbs, and fats, as close as we can to that ancestral blueprint that fueled us for millions of years.
So, what does that look like? Well, for non-vegetarians, the path is pretty straightforward. You want to prioritize things like lean meats, fish, seafood. If you can, get the fresh, wild-caught, or pasture-raised stuff. Then, fill up the rest of your plate with a ton of different vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. And the big one, drastically cut back or just get rid of sugars, processed grains, and those weird vegetable oils.
And what if you're a vegetarian? The path is a little different, but the goal is the same. The key is variety and planning. You'll want to focus on lots of different protein sources like legumes, beans, nuts, and seeds. Bring in complete proteins like quinoa. Get those healthy fats from avocados and olive oil. And you got to be mindful of things like vitamin B12. The big thing is to avoid the trap of just eating processed vegetarian foods, and instead really focus on getting a wide variety of whole plant foods.
You know, that's really what this is all about. Understanding our body's 2.5 million-year-old story isn't just for history class. It's the first, most important step to taking back our health from a modern diet that's completely forgotten where we came from.
The real power is in this knowledge. This isn't about some crazy fad diet. It's about getting back in sync with our own biology, one meal at a time. So I'll ask you this. Knowing your body was built for a different world, what's the first change you'll make to your next meal? Thanks for watching.